Hey friends, welcome back. And welcome back to another reading vlog. This one is going to be very exciting. At least I'm really hoping so, because I don't know what we're reading yet for this reading vlog. We're about to figure it out together. I came across this what color reader are you quiz while scrolling, as one does. And I thought it would be fun to take the quiz together, build a TBR together, and then read the books together. I've not yet taken the quiz and I have no idea what to expect. So we're going to screen record and take the quiz together. It is readyourcolor.com. I know nothing other than that. I will put timestamps down below in case you don't care about the quiz and you just want to figure out what color I am and what the TBR is going to be. You can skip ahead if you don't care. But if you care, we're going to start with the quiz. It says it's going to show me 24 different hypothetical book summaries and we have to indicate how likely I would be to read each one. Okay. A poetic memoir weaving together fragments, dreams, journal entries, old texts, and chronicling the author's healing after grief. Yeah. I love grief. I love mixed media, fragments like dream. Yeah, would definitely read. Yeah, would definitely read. A woman falls in love with a man through anonymous letters exchanged in library books, never meeting until fate intervenes. Would definitely read. I love a letter. And exchange in library books? Absolutely. Would definitely read. In a city run by corporations, a lone data hacker risks everything to uncover the truth behind a mass digital blackout. Would probably not read. In a shattered world ruled by elemental warlords, a cursed warrior and an outcast prince form a forbidden bond that could remake the realm. Would probably read because I think it would depend on a lot of other factors, whether it would be high up on my priority or not. But yeah, it sounds like it would be a fantasy, so I would probably read it. A solitary monk walks across America, encountering strangers who subtly reshape his inner life and beliefs. Kind of sounds like the tea monk in Psalm for the Wild Built. It depends on when this would be taking place. I'll put might read. Drawing on neuroscience and ancient philosophy, this guide helps overthinkers learn to make better decisions. Would probably not read. My decisions are fine. I don't need help. A surrealist artist discovers her paintings are portals to real worlds and something is starting to come back through the canvas. That's super cool. Would probably read. Yeah. Grumpy CEO starts to rethink what's important to him after he falls in love with the new VP of marketing. Might read. It depends who wrote this. I don't really love office romances though. I don't know. I'll put might read because it really depends on the author. An ex-assassin hiding in Alaska must confront his past when his daughter is taken by a vengeful arms dealer. Might read. A chef journeys across post-Soviet Europe searching for recipes that defined her grandmother's lost homeland. I don't really love historical fiction. I think the recipes is kind of cute, but I don't know. Might? Would probably not. Would probably not. Let's be honest with ourselves, shall we? A multi-generational novel told from the perspective of a single house and the people who... Oh, would definitely read. No question. Deep dive into how food systems global trade... Absolutely not. No, I would not read. I would not. I would not. A linguist and an ex-CIA operative must decode an ancient manuscript before the secret society reshapes history. Listen, the linguist is interesting, but I probably wouldn't read it. A novel told entirely through footnotes and deleted Wikipedia entries reconstructs the life of a time traveler who never... Yeah, that sounds super cool. Would probably read that. A struggling screenwriter falls for the nanny of his ex-wife's kids in a story filled with awkward charm, bad coffee, and unexpected kisses. I don't know. Would probably not read. That was my gut. In a future where dreams can be uploaded and bought, a woman begins to lose the line between memory and product. Ooh, that would be interesting. Might read. If it was a horror, I would probably read it. It depends then. I might read it. A former Silicon Valley exec shares what broke him, what healed him, and how... No. A rescue team in Antarctica picks up a distress signal from a base that officially doesn't exist and never did. I would probably read that. A cultural critic's essay collection on the end of privacy, the aesthetics and apocalypse, and what comes after capitalism. Ugh. I wouldn't read it. I wouldn't read it. A woman uncovers a box of unsent letters and begins to rewrite the story of her childhood. I know earlier I said I like letters, and I do, but letters actively being written between people. This is different, and I do like this. I might read it. It depends on what else the story is about. A clear, no-nonsense manual on how to lead team... No, would definitely not read. An ornithologist joins a rogue expedition into the Congo to find a supposedly extinct bird. Then the team starts vanishing one by one. I might read it. It sounds like every other mystery thriller, you know? I might read it, but who knows? Not me. In an alternate 1800s, a woman disguises herself as a man to join a pirate crew in search of a mythical island said to grant second lives. I would probably read that. I love a pirate. I love a ship. I love a mythical island. I would probably reread it. Last one. A box of mementos hidden by her late husband sends a young widow on a cross-country road trip through memory and mourning. That sounds like it would hurt me. I would probably read it. Okay. Wait. You need to understand something. I knew I was gonna be a blue. Okay, I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means, but I had a feeling that I would be a blue reader. I don't know what that means, but wow, that's fun. Okay, 70% blue reader, 55% yellow reader, 45 orange, 35 red, oh, 40 purple. Interesting. Okay, that's so fun. Okay, let's explore my type. What's my type? The introspective oracle. The blue reader is introspective and reflective, drawn to narratives that explore the deep, quiet complexities of the human soul. They love books that invite contemplation, offering thoughtful insights and philosophical depth. For them, reading is an act of self-discovery, providing serenity and clarity as they uncover profound truths about life and themselves. They prefer literary works that gently unravel emotional and existential questions, leaving them feeling enriched and deeply connected. Yeah. Oh my god, it's giving me actual book recs. Okay. That is actually kind of crazy. I just like knew I was going to be blue. I don't know what that was. I don't know what told me that, but it's kind of crazy that like I was right. You don't know that. I could be faking it, but I'm not. Now the question is how to make a TBR out of this concept, because like I could do just like surface level. Now I read blue books and like not think of it too deeply. Or I can buy like the Blue Reader Essential Toolkit for $15. Oh my god, am I about to do that? It's a tax write-off. I think that I would be really interested and thinking about what's on this list if I didn't do it. Is this going to be a waste of money? Maybe. You hear that double click? I just bought it. Did you hear my jaw crack? A lot of the fiction ones are ones that like I actually do want to read. Letters to a Young Poet is on here, and me and Caleb actually had passages read from that at our wedding. So that's crazy. The majority of that was nonfiction, which is still valuable. That's not what I'm saying. But I was hoping there would be like a bigger section of like contemporary, literary, maybe fantasy, maybe sci-fi, maybe something else. But the fiction category is actually pretty small. I'm kind of upset. Like more than half of these are nonfiction. I'm so mad that I just spent $15. In order to make the $15 worth it, looks like I should pick something from this list at least. I'm gonna have to go come up with a plan. I'll come back once I've decided. Okay, hello. We're continuing this vlog a lot faster than I thought we were going to, mostly because I feel like I'm in a funk. And I'm the type of person that if I am like sad, I have to only listen to like sad or emotional music. I don't want to be happy, so don't give me happy music. And it's not that like I'm okay. Don't like stress. But I definitely feel a little bit like I'm in a little bit of a funk. So maybe it is time to read these blue books. Let's revisit what it says. As a blue reader, I am introspective and reflective, drawn to narratives that explore the deep, quiet complexities of the human soul. They prefer literary works that gently unravel emotional and existential questions, leaving them feeling enriched and deeply connected. So basically, I am a little bit pretentious and I love just like thinking deeply about books and the meaning of life and like, why am I here? How does it all connect? Those types of things. Like, yeah, for sure. This makes sense. I'm still so upset that I spent $15 on the complete blue reader guide. That was silly because I found literally 10 minutes after that every single color you already get like at least 5 book recommendations for free. The complete guide gives you so many. So like if that's actually what you want to do, it's not a waste of money. I'm not trying to say that, but like I did not have to spend the money. I shouldn't have. However, I'm not like super mad about it. I did get some solid book recommendations, and actually a lot of them I already own, which is interesting. So in terms of fiction, we could read a number of things for this video. And before I give you the list of books, I don't know which ones I'm going to read. This is going to be a choose your own adventure vlog. I am going to read one book at a time and go from there. I don't know what this is going to look like, mostly because I'm simply vibing. I don't want to like lock myself into anything at this current moment in time. So I have already started the first book for this video. So this is where we will start. One of the very first book recommendations on the Complete Blue Reader reader's guide list thing was On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I've owned this for a while and I have been avoiding it because I knew that it would make me emotional, and I wasn't wrong. It is definitely not an easy thing to be reading. Is it what I should be reading if I'm feeling fragile already? I don't know, maybe not. That's why I wasn't planning on actually doing this vlog right now, because I was like, maybe like emotionally, mentally, this isn't what I need, but is it what I want? That's what we're figuring out. And so far this morning, I started this book and we are on page 95. So quite a ways in. I think that's like 40% or so. Initial thoughts to come in a moment, but other books that I could be reading for this video are terrifying. Another one on the list is Gilead. I don't remember who's it by, but this was one that Caleb saw that was on the Blue Readers list, and he like immediately had a reaction to it. I don't know anything about it, but it is by Marilyn Robinson. The synopsis doesn't sound like I'd like it. So I might not choose that one. Kafka on the Shore. We do own this one, and I do think that I could enjoy it because I know there's like some magical realism or like dreamy things going on. This is one that if you've been around since the beginning, the dawn of my channel, I had this book on many a TBRs and I never read it, which is interesting to see that it's coming up again later on my channel. So maybe I'll choose that one. The Overstory, is it by Richard Powers? The Road by Cormac McCarthy is on here. 100 Years of Solitude. And then the last fiction, guys, terrifying. I don't know if I'll read it. I don't know if I ever want to read it, but I own it. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Yeah. All of these are so emotional, which is, I guess, very fitting considering I'm a Blue reader. There's a couple nonfiction mentioned as well that I have been told that I would love. There's When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. It's a neurosurgeon's memoir. And if you know me, I am a neurotrauma ICU nurse. So like, I understand why people would recommend this to me. I don't like bringing my job into my reading. I don't like it. Even though it's probably brilliant, I don't think I'll read it. And that's where I stopped writing things down for the potentials for this video because there are already quite a few. Oh, there's also Never Let Me Go by Kazu Ishiguro. So that being said, those are all the potentials. The books that I don't already own, I have put on hold at the library. Many of them are weeks and or months away from being ready. Will I just purchase them? I don't know. We're gonna have to see how I feel after I finish On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, because I foresee myself finishing this book today. So the general premise of this book is it is a letter from a son to a mother who cannot read. We're following our main character who is writing this letter. We never get his like birth name. We just get his like nickname that he was given by his grandmother and maybe his mother as well when they were in Vietnam. This nickname is Little Dog, and it does go into why that was chosen, which I thought was really interesting and like sad, but also very sweet at the same time. We're following him being raised from his single mother and sometimes also his grandmother. The way that this is written is really interesting, and it is the only hesitation I'm having within this story because it is very much a like stream of consciousness sort of style. And I know that I have said in the past that I really like stream of consciousness. I don't know if that's so true anymore because maybe I don't. I think what I like is if a story is a little bit like rambly and sort of like unfiltered thoughts while we're exploring a topic. I like that, but I think that this is more like stream of consciousness. This is what I think might be more closely related to that concept, because as we're learning, following our main character, telling like a singular story, there will be paragraph breaks where we jump to a different time period entirely and do a quick little exploration of a different thought or situation. And they do also often like come back full circle and, you know, make sense. The meandering and like jumping from thought to situation is a little bit jarring and a little bit hard for me to completely stay on track of who's talking and what's going on. However, the writing is stunning. This is something that I knew would be the case. I'm pretty sure that Ocean Vuong writes poetry, and I definitely can tell that within his prose. I can definitely see why this is on the list for a Blue reader, because it is deeply like personal and cerebral. We're talking about race, class, and sort of like growing up as a young boy, like masculinity. And on the back of the book, it says, we will also touch on addiction, violence, and trauma, but also compassion and tenderness, the question of how to survive and how we make of it like a kind of joy. The violence is sometimes in our main character's own home, and it is also within the random tangent stories that we are following. Again, it's not an easy read. It's not fun. Am I having a good time? I don't know how to answer that question. Is it a good book so far? Yeah, I do think that it is doing what it sets out to. Just the writing style, again, is the only hesitation that I have. I do think that I will finish it before I even come back and update you, because it is a really short book and I'm 40% of the way through already. At this current point in time, I am reading multiple books, and I am going to take a break and read another really sad book. I'm almost done with Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, so it's really good. But I only have like a little over an hour left on that audiobook, so I am going to take a break from this one, finish that one as I like go throughout my morning and things. So once I get further and or finish On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, we will come back, give final thoughts, and figure out what the heck we're doing with the rest of this video, because I don't know yet. But I do know that I'm excited to have you here. Good morning. I have finished. If you hear Sammy is playing with a toy. Get it, buddy. The mood of Sammy playing with this toy is completely different than the vibe of what I'm bringing for this review here. Okay, I'm like desperately trying to come up with what I want to say about this book. I know I already mentioned how I wasn't really liking the writing style of this. I do stand by that. I don't think that I really enjoyed my reading experience, mostly due to how Ocean Vuong was telling the story. I think that the almost like vignettes and waxing poetic nature of his prose and storytelling, it's beautiful. Of course it's beautiful. And of course he's a very talented writer, but this style of storytelling for this story particularly, I can't speak on like every story that is told this way ever, but for this narrative, it felt way too loose. I wish that it was a little bit tighter and easier to follow, even though like I understand the choice of doing it this way, because it is inventive. It is very interesting, but unfortunately this is one of those books for me that I'm really happy that I finished it, so that now I don't have to pick it up again to read it. There really isn't much like happiness within this narrative, which I understand as a concept that like not every story has overt great happy moments, but it felt like we were just jumping from like sad situation to sad situation, and the topics that were brought up were not always discussed. They were brought up and like left there for it to be part of the story or part of this main character's life, and then they just like let it be. It wasn't necessarily always discussed or delved into or explored, and I think I would have liked a little bit more like conversation on some of the topics. We are covering some things that I think were done really well, like masculinity, sexuality, growing up in an immigrant family, particularly with a single mother. Mental health representation was really, really good in this book, but we also touched on things like addiction, and there were a lot of stories from different point of views, not just Little Dog, but also his mother and grandmother, and those switches and those like vignette stories were just a little bit hard for me to follow, and that made it harder to enjoy. The concept around this book is that he's writing this letter to his mother who can't read, and like I know that is beautiful. That's like a beautiful concept, and I do like the idea that like this letter is his way of just like explaining and venting and sort of expressing how he feels about his whole life being raised by his mother and grandmother. But the idea is that like she'll never read it, but even though we think that she'll never read it, I question whether, if this were me, if I would still include all of the pretty explicit sex scenes of, you know, exploring your sexuality, like absolutely relevant to the book and to the themes we're discussing. But like coming back to the fact that like this was a letter to his mother, like I know that she wouldn't or was not going to actually read it in theory. I just don't think I would include it like conceptually. But again, I know that's like a silly thing. However, I am happy I read it because obviously I've owned this for years. This was a great vlog for me to pick this up because now I can no longer wonder if I would like it. I think that I'm pretty like in the middle though, because there are a lot of beautiful quotes, there are a lot of beautiful things that Ocean Vuong did, my overall reading experience was not very solid. So that being said, I think I'm going to land with a 3, which feels wrong because I know a lot of people love this book, and I'm not taking that away from you because it is beautiful. I just wonder if maybe it should have been a poetry collection instead of a novel. And very quickly, in terms of this being like a blue book and it being recommended to me in this way, I think that it definitely makes sense. This is the type of story that could potentially get 5 stars from me. I could see why 100% why this is on the blue reader list, absolutely. But unfortunately, it did not work for me entirely, though I am excited to pick up the next book for this video. And I technically have 4 other books that I could choose from that I've narrowed down that like master list from. I have one already queued up on my Kobo, but I don't know if I will actually continue this vlog today or not. So next time that I pick up my next blue book, I will come back and update you. I'm excited. I'm excited to explore more of these titles because a lot of them have been on my TBR for a while, or I've heard really good things about. So I will be back.
Whenever you're lonely, just pick up the phone and call me. I'll be there. Girl, let me show you. You're my one and only, like I told you. I'll be there. And if you get blue, I got the loving for you. Yeah. I'll be there.
Did you make a wish on that?
Your heartache, it kills me, but your loving, it thrills me. I'll be there.
Okay, hello. It's been a hot minute, I think, since I've updated this video. I am well into the next book, the next blue book of this video. Let's see exactly. I am 38% into Never Let Me Go by Kazu Ishiguro. And this is weird because this was not the book cover that showed last time I picked this book up on my Kobo, like maybe 2 days ago. It was this one. Like, read them and weep. This was a photo I took like 2 days ago. Why did the cover change? I didn't update the cover. That's super weird. I mean, I kind of like this cover better, so I'm not mad about it. But, oh, I also could have seen the percentage right here on my Kobo. I'm still learning. I love it, by the way. Everyone should ditch their Kindle and get a Kobo, is my opinion. Just kidding. That's not like a valid recommendation. I need to do a full review video for you guys. But for me, it's been the best decision ever. Never Let Me Go is a blue book, and let us see why it is recommended for blue readers. This is a haunting story of 3 friends at a mysterious boarding school whose destinies gradually reveal a profound moral dilemma. Blue readers love it because they will be captivated by the emotional depth, philosophical questions, and tender exploration of human fragility. Seems valid. Seems like a valid thing to say. This book is strange. So like it says, it's a boarding school, and we're following our main caregiver because they're called carers. Okay, so we're following them as they're growing up in this boarding school, and it's not like any other boarding school. It's a weird situation. Your success is greatly determined on how creative you could be, how many good pieces of artwork or things you can create, how many you can, and how good they are. There is a like headmistress that comes every so often and takes the students' like best works to put into like the gallery, but we don't know what the gallery is. And it's also greatly alluded to. I don't know how much I can say about this book because it does seem very much like if you talk about certain things, those are considered spoilers. So I'm going to avoid a lot, but it is alluded to pretty early on, but very heavily now. It's like really readily talked about that these kids are here for a particular reason and they are going towards their like future, I don't know if destiny is the right word to say, but like they are there for a reason. And it's dark, it's weird, it's very strange. It is a very slow and quiet book. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't know what it is, but I am like, when I'm reading, I'm glued to the page. Like I am not super like obsessed with it, but I also am really drawn to it. And I'm taking that as a good sign. I'm thinking that I'm going to like it, and therefore I am going to be reading it today. I'm about to do some reading sprints with my patrons, but a fun advancement in my life is that I got myself a new Xbox controller, and I'm really excited about it because I have been using the same Xbox controller since I was in middle school. Like I've been using AA batteries for my entire life with my Xbox controller. Like it's so old. It's a piece of crap. All right, the controller is bad. It like the joystick like turns my thumb black because it's coming off. So now, after so many years, I have pulled the trigger and got myself, a really nice new Xbox controller, the Elite. What's up? It's customizable. Like, I could take off these joysticks and this little trackpad and, you know, change the colors if I wanted to. It is customizable to the point of like changing how you can compress the actual like triggers, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying the middle. I feel like that's fun. It's very fun. I'm excited about it. I wanted to try to play one game before sprints start in like 40 minutes, just because I'm antsy about it. I want to try it out. So I want to do that. And then I'm going to be reading Never Let Me Go during sprints today. I imagine that I will have an update for you this evening before I go to my in-person real life book club. It was the second book of the Crimson Moth duology, Rebel Witch, which is super exciting. I freaking loved that whole duology so much. So we're gonna go chat with the girlies about Rebel Witch and it will be fun. And then tomorrow I'm getting these nightmares fixed, which is exciting as well. So a lot of fun things happening. But yeah, welcome back to the vlog. This is me reorienting myself to this vlog because I just finished a different one, turned off the camera and started it to tell you about this book. We're back in business with Never Let Me Go. So jumping back into it today, I will come let you know how it's going. I just reached part 2. As you can see, here we are, part 2. Yeehaw.
Whatever tomorrow may hold, I know.
Hi friends. Audio might be a little bit off because I'm on my phone, but just a quick update. I'm still reading this book. It's Saturday, the 26th, independent bookstore day. I have been reading this book for that long. I don't know if you've been keeping track, but it's been a long time. And we are obviously going to be going out to some independent bookstores in the city. But first and foremost, we had to stop and get paid. Caleb is picking up a check from one of his previous jobs that he just finished this week, and I'm waiting for him to come back out so that we can get lunch, go to some bookstores, and stop at a a camera store, because we have a bunch of like these cameras, disposable cameras. They're from our wedding. We still haven't developed them, but Caleb has gotten into film photography and I'm excited for this development in our lives collectively. But we have to go develop that one, and also we're gonna develop these, which is very exciting. I think this has a photo left. There's actually a couple photos left. Let's see. Cute. Wow, there is actually more. Cute. Maybe cute. Maybe not cute at all. Who knows? Anyways, I have my Kobo. I might try to get some pages in. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't not like this book, but it should not take me this long to read it. It has been a long time and I just don't feel drawn to pick it up. Like, I can tell where it's going, unless there's something more crazy that's going to be unveiled. I think I understand what's happening, and it is pretty creepy. It is really weird and also very interesting, but I don't know what it is. I just don't care that much. The characters aren't very likable or super interesting themselves. All of them are pretty one-dimensional for the most part. I mean, our narrator, I guess, is sort of interesting, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time wanting to pick it up. So that's where I'm at. I literally have a little over an hour left, and I've had a little over an hour left for days. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I finish it soon and then I'll come back and let you know how it ended up. But I also got my nails done recently. Check it out. They have a little purple aura in it. Very cute. Got those fixed because my previous pink, pale pink, white, milky white nails, my friend and patron, Nicole, capital N Nicole, to be specific, said they looked like raw chicken breast, and I simply could not have them on my hands anymore, so got those fixed. See, this is me procrastinating. I could be reading this book right now while Caleb's in there. I've been scrolling, and then I was like, oh, let me update the vlog. I actually kind of look okay today, you know? I think that I've sat in the same place every single time, every single update for this vlog so far, and I haven't looked like anything. I've just been, lounging around the house. I'm out and about. Let's make an update and not read. Good gravy. It is not going well.
And when we're together, my love, you give me hope and a way to cope. Yeah. I'll be there. Ooh.
I'm pleased to inform you that Kazuo Ishiguro finally let me go. It literally felt like I was never gonna finish this book. And I want to start off, first of all, by saying that it's not a bad book. And then I want to say something, and then I'm going to backtrack a little bit, okay? I found a Reddit post because after I finished this book, I was like, all right, let me see if some other people are understanding things more than I understand, or like maybe I don't know, didn't get something about it. So I looked at Reddit posts, right? As one does. And the first one that I saw, it said, "Never Let Me Go is probably the most well-written book that I hated." And then obviously like reasons why and so on and so forth. And the conversation within that thread was pretty productive. Like I enjoyed reading people's opinions, like from not liking it, but also people who absolutely love this book. I know people who absolutely love this book. But unfortunately I do like sort of agree with the sentiment of that title of that thread. I think that it is written really well. There are some stylistic choices that I don't really love that we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, this book is like under 300 pages and I could have read this in one day. Like there's no way that I could not have theoretically read this in one day. And this book took me, oh my God, this took me like almost 3 weeks to read this book. That's actually so much worse than I thought it was. I actually thought it was just gonna be like a week and a half and that was gonna be dramatic. But yeah, it took me 2.5 weeks to read a 288 page book. Wow, that's wild. First and foremost. Second most, let's bring it back to just like how I feel about the book. Obviously it's not going to be super positive, but again, I don't think that it's bad. It obviously wasn't for me. And I say that hesitantly because I do think that the story is very cool. I like stories that focus on like main characters' creativity, like creating something. I think that the topic and discussion of creativity as a thing is very interesting to me. I love it. So whether the character is like a writer or an artist or literally creating something in any sort of medium, I really like it. And so these kids being at this like boarding school sort of vibe and their worth is based off of like how much and how well they can create. Very cool. Very cool, love that. And the twists at the end involving why they are doing what they're doing, why they are forced to create and why it is so important is very cool. Like the trajectory I did enjoy, I think. How it was done, no. I was unfortunately just so bored. And I have read Clara and the Sun by the same author, and I also felt kind of similarly. I think that one got like a 3.5 or a 4 for me, and this one I'm feeling is going to get like a 2.5 to a 3. Like freaking the same thing with the first book in this video. And I'm so scared to post this. I'm so scared. Should I just scrap this? I might just scrap this whole video because like both of these books people really love and I just simply don't like conflict. But I'm going to see it through. All right, I'm gonna see it through because I'm going to. The specific things, without getting into spoilers because every vlog I do is spoiler free unless like otherwise noted. Some specific things that I didn't like about the stylistic choices of writing is the narrator would consistently start talking about something like maybe 2 sentences into the thought and then be like, but first we have to go back in order for you to understand. And like that's okay. I kind of like that in like a thriller setting, and that's sort of what this is. You know, it's not like a fast-paced thriller by any means, but there is like a mystery sort of like thriller. I don't know, I wouldn't say thriller, but it's like there is like a mysterious aspect to the story, right? And so doing the like getting a glimpse of what we're going to talk about and then being like, oh, but wait, now you have to sit through 50 pages of something else in order for you to have the background to understand where we're going. I understand that, but that happened all the time. It happened all the time. And I was over it. I was over being at the cottages. I was over getting glimpses into what could be happening or what is in store for them. It's like you learn pretty early in the book sort of like what is really going on because there is some sinister things. Like it overall is a very like emotional and sinister story. And again, there are parts that I really did appreciate, but the plot and how it ended up playing out and was being told, it was so not fluid for me. And I was just, wow, so ready for it to be over. Oh, I hate being rude. I hate it. So yeah, ultimately I liked the idea of the story. I just didn't like the execution. It was not for me personally. And that's that, I suppose. So now, really quick before we go into the next book in the video, because I have already started it and I do actually feel really good about this book, I have high hopes, okay? But first, since Never Let Me Go is sort of like a mystery sort of style story, I do have more thoughts that I think have more substance than what I'm able to tell you without spoilers. So I am going to share some spoilery thoughts. Go to this time right here if you don't want to be spoiled for Never Let Me Go. It probably won't be super, super long, but yeah, I feel like I definitely want to share more substance than what I previously have been able to do. So getting into a couple spoilery thoughts. I personally, I work in healthcare. I work in a neuro ICU, and my unit works very, very closely with donor patients. I myself have worked with countless, people who are either brain dead or go down and have a cardiac death. It's not important for this video, but there are different distinctions and so on and so forth. But I have worked very closely with a lot of donor patients. And so the theory and concept and discussion about these kids being like created and cloned for organ donation and things like that, super cool. I really liked that. However, it does sort of get into the gray area of reading for me, where I don't like reading about things that I do at work. And so that's why I never pick up a book that is involving nurses or healthcare. And I know like a carer is what these people go into, like they are caring for the donors. That still is like a gray area for like nursing. I am reading to get out of the healthcare system. I'm reading to escape my really heavy and hard job. And I don't think that I was expecting that to feel that in this book. It wasn't like heavy-handed, so like it really isn't like a point of me not really liking the book. It really is just like how the story was executed and told. I just didn't find it interesting or engaging is the right word. I didn't find it super engaging. But I do think that having some sort of background in the like donation sphere of healthcare, like it sort of made me almost predisposed to be numb towards those twists because I see them so frequently. And I think that if I didn't have the job that I have, I would have liked this a lot more, because it would have been like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I would have never seen that coming. Like, I don't know. I just wasn't very blown away by it, but I can see why people would be, because it is a crazy idea. The fact that they actually like took the school down because they were concerned about the clones and the children being superior to the rest of society is actually so relatable to like today's day and age. You know, all of these laws and things going on in our real day life that is just suppressing voices that we need to be heard. And I think that there's just a direct correlation in what happened to these kids in this book and to like socially what's happening in real world. People being frightened about something or unsure, and instead of learning and taking time to understand, they just suppress and they cancel, they, defund, things like that. And then in the early days after the war, to most people in society, these clones were viewed as just objects in test tubes. But then there were like ethics that were brought in. So then they had to show them that the students, the clones, they could create, they had souls, and that's why they were collecting the artwork, which I think is like super cool. So again, like bringing back everyone that didn't want to be spoiled. I just, again, liked the concept, but the storytelling methods were just too slow for me. And that just is what it is. So maybe I'll sit at like a solid 3, because reminiscing, focusing on the things that I really did like about this book, I will say that I do definitely appreciate them. So I'll say it's a 3. And that means that we can go into the next book in this video, which I have started. I'm only 4% in on chapter 2. And this book is Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. This, if you've been around for a while, you will have seen this on many a Spin the Bottle TBRs in the past. Because this is one that Caleb has recommended to me time and time again. He thinks that I would really like it. Every time he's told me about it, it literally hits so many of my words that like draw me into a book. Man, I just love how the synopsis sounds. So, really quick, Never Let Me Go. I can see why it's a blue book, because we're really delving into, the human condition and the deep insight onto especially this one character and her journey through learning who she is, what she is, and what she is supposed to be doing with her life against her will. and, you know, how everything has been set out for her and all of these people. You know, I get why it's a blue book. I think that that book particularly is just the case that, like, I didn't like how it was told, but I do like the story. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's move on. We're going back to Kafka on the Shore. I just have to remember why we're doing this particular vlog, and it's because I took that silly color quiz, and here we are. So, Kafka on the Shore, I love how it sounds. There's magical realism. It's like literary fantasy, I almost want to say, because it says, here we have a 15-year-old runaway, Kafka Tamara, and the elderly Nakata, who is drawn to Kafka for reasons that he cannot fathom. As their paths converge, acclaimed author Haruki Murakami enfolds readers in a world where cats talk, fish fall from the sky, and spirits slip out of their bodies and make love or commit murder in what is truly a remarkable journey. And that's honestly all that I know going into it. The first chapter, and I read the author like foreword in the beginning, I have absolutely loved. I've absolutely loved it. There are parts of the book, let's see if you can see it. I'm already highlighting things. But let me go back to maybe like there are, don't read the words, but like you can see that some of the text is in bold and some of it is not in bold. I am still learning what exactly that means, but I think that it is very like an ethereal thing. Like it is a second narrator, or it is like a, I don't know, deeper insight in what our main character is experiencing. And so already that idea is very cool. There's a little bit of repetition within the writing, which I think is very powerful, especially when used correctly. And I think that he's doing it actively very correctly and really awesomely. The other things that Caleb told me about this is sort of like what's in the synopsis is that it's a like a coming of age story, magical realism, and involves like a journey, like a fantastical journey. And I love that. I think that I could really love this book, and I was supposed to be filming today. It is Thursday. I was going to get my April wrap up out tomorrow on Friday, but I think I'm going to film tomorrow and then just make my wrap up on Sunday. Like, it is what it is. Not every day is a great mental health day, and all day today I'm like, unfortunately, have just been freaking rotting. And I don't like to use that word that much, but I literally have just been having a rough day. I forced myself to work out a little bit. That's why I look the way that I do. It was a very kind of like a bad workout, but I still tried to show up and do something, you know, like something's better than nothing is what I'm trying to tell myself. But yeah, it's now, let's see, 2:10 in the afternoon. And if I film today for a video tomorrow, then I would have to come up with a different video to film for Sunday. And I do have ideas for a second video for Sunday, but I also didn't have the bandwidth to actually execute the planning that was required to do before I sat down to film it. Like coming up with a list of books for the topic that I wanted to talk about or whatever. I just like couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it today. But I am happy that I at least updated you guys on this video, because it has been hanging over my head, much like the last book was. So now it's out. You know how I feel. And this clip is over 25 minutes long. So I think that I need to be done yapping. I plan on reading more of Kafka on the Shore today. Since I'm not filming, what else am I gonna do? You know, I'm gonna do that, and I'm going to actually do the rest of the planning for tomorrow so that I can actually film tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow, tomorrow, I will be able to update you maybe halfway through the book, or at least 125 pages in. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm feeling really good about this one. Immediate good vibes. So that's great. Everyone cross your fingers and toes for me, please.
I'll be there. And when I'm at home, I got no one to hold.
Hello.
Hello.
Wait. Hello.
Hello.
My driver is taking me around town today. We are actually on our way to drop off some packages. I listed finally all of my unhauls on my Pango web store. Webkins on my Pango bookstore. So we're taking the first batch that sold over the weekend. Quite a bit, and I'm excited about it. Thank you for buying one if you did. I am just now like 40 or 45% into Kafka on the Shore. I was very overwhelmingly like positive and excited going into it. And up until I think like the last update, what was it, like 15-20% or so? I think I was still feeling pretty good. And I'm not feeling bad by any means, but there has been some revelations within Mr. Murakami's writing that I think like people talk about. Like, it is a known thing that people do like critique of his writing. And I'm noticing, I don't know what I said in the last update in regards to how Caleb recommended this book to me, because I wanted to kind of give him a
pass?
a pass, or like, I don't think I said that it's like one of your favorite books, because I don't think that that's true, right?
No, it's not one of my favorites.
No, it's not one of his favorite books.
But I do like it.
Yeah, but he does like it, and I also am enjoying it, but again, there are things about it that are less desirable. Like, just how he depicts women and how he writes women, I think is very, I don't know if I would say problematic, but it kind of is a little bit problematic. I don't feel great reading how he's writing women. It seems that any woman that is portrayed in a more like important role is either written in a very over sexualized way or a very like almost over emotional and like almost crazy way. Like, it could also be seen as like almost in a juvenile way. And our main character in Kafka on the Shore is a teenager. So like, though that could be an argument, I would argue back that we don't have to see women the way like a 15-year-old boy would see women in every aspect in the storytelling, in my opinion. So I do think that some of the things going on or how he's writing it is not to my taste. Do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, like, so if I were to talk about Murakami, right, and I've only really read a few of his books, but one of those was Norwegian Wood, which I ended up not finishing. And I ended up not finishing it because I could not get over how almost like hyper emotional and hyper romantic and almost like, again, juvenile the sort of like relationships felt. And again, like I think that it is a known critique that a lot of those older male postmodern type writers struggled with writing women because women are so complicated and full of depth and nuance, not just bosoms. You don't cut that. Don't include that.
No, that's true. We're more than our bosoms.
Let's get her thoughts. Avi.
Avi, what do you think about Kafka on the Shore?
Yes, indeed.
She feels complex about it as well. We just got to the post office, so we're going to ship off these packages. We're going to get a coffee. I think we're going to try a new coffee shop today too, which is very exciting. Very out of the norm for us. Whoa. Anything could happen. So hopefully we get a good coffee. We're going to go back to the house, and I want to read more. I want to do a couple writing sprints, and then we have plans to make a couple TikToks, Reels. We have some short form content plans because Caleb is part of the crew now. If you haven't seen
my directorial debut.
But I directed it too.
My co-directorial debut.
You should follow me on Instagram. You could do it on TikTok too. I mean, like, I post on TikTok as well, but like, I'm most active on Instagram. If you've been here, you know that, but it's really good. And we're really proud of it. I'll never shut up about it, to be completely honest. But yeah, okay, we're gonna do those things and we'll come back later. Hopefully I have a reading update for you again soon, because this vlog is next week's video. It's Monday. It is the Sunday's video, so I really need to get my butt in gear.
Wait, so what are you giving it thus far? What's your temp rating on Kafka?
My temp rating is that, thank you for bringing me full circle. I am enjoying the like sort of magical, surreal aspects to it. I think that the writing is interesting in some regards. Like, when we're in Kafka's point of view, there is like an alternate point of view within his point of view, which is really interesting and sort of like surreal. But I will say the last place I ever want to be is in a teenage boy's mind. So it's actually like not super enjoyable, but I am intrigued by what's happening and where he's going. I also think that the point of view switch ups between his timeline or his story, and then we're following a different character named Mr. Nakata, who, when I found out who he was, it was sort of like a plot twist, like very exciting moment for me. So I won't say like who he is directly, but like he can talk to cats, and that's kind of fun. But there is a humongous trigger warning for animal cruelty in this book that I was not prepared for at all. So it's not. No, it was bad. I was gonna say it's not that bad. No, it was not enjoyable. I did not like it at all. So know that. So all in all, my temp check is
it's good because like the point of view switches are like making me want to keep reading because I do want to get back to both stories and see what's happening. So like it is a page turning read, but I am having issues with some of the aspects like we just mentioned. I'm not going to DNF it because I do think that I am liking it, but I do need to read more to have like an official final take, you know? Is that fine?
I think that is fair.
Okay. Over and out. We'll see you soon.
Tell me I'll be there. If my mind is reeling from the stress that I'm feeling, I need you. I'll be there. I just need your love, and I long for your touch. Won't you tell me I'll be there?
Hello. I have a couple updates for you. I am officially, finally, God bless, halfway through Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. It's getting weird, and I knew it would because obviously it has like magical realism and like very surreal things being explored, and there is officially even weirder things happening. This isn't necessarily what I want to tell you about right now though, so I will come back to chat about this book finally once I finish it. This is Caleb's copy. My hold on my library copy on my Kobo ran out, so I had to switch to a physical copy, which I'm glad that Caleb had a copy because otherwise I would have to buy one, I guess. But okay, yeah, I'm on chapter 32. I'm getting there. But surprise, I read another book for this video. Another book that was on the list for Blue readers was On Writing by Stephen King. It is like a memoir on the craft. So it is predominantly a nonfiction about writing and like his process, but also very much like a memoir of his writing journey. And for this video, for any purpose, like I'm not gonna be like rating this book, but I did read it for this video and wanted to kind of let you know that I did so. I think that the little nuggets of inspiration and advice that he has are very, very worthwhile. He's obviously a very prolific writer. And though I personally haven't really loved a single book that I've read by Stephen King, I can obviously appreciate the fact that he is, again, prolific and does know what he's doing, at least to some extent. So talking about the book as a whole, I don't think that I realized just how much memoir there would be, especially in the first like quarter of the book. It was like pretty much all memoir, which again, it makes sense. Like we needed the foundation for what he would be talking about and why he is the way he is, who he is, you know, all these things. Like I totally get it. I wasn't expecting it completely, which is probably just a misstep on my part because I went in thinking that it was going to be just about writing and like the craft. But it was, again, a very much a memoir style telling of these things, and I'm not faulting it for that. It was just something that I figured out as I went. I like how he wrote the book, and I do like how he told all of his little anecdotal stories. Some of the quotes and advice that were focused on writing were really solid, and I think that I will think about them quite often. I wrote a lot of them down. As a writer and an aspiring author myself, like it's really nice to hear these things, you know? When you write a story, you're telling yourself the story. When you rewrite, your job is to take out the parts that are not the story. You write with the door closed, rewrite with the door open. Once you know what the story is and you get it right to the best of your ability, it belongs to anybody who wants to read it or criticize it. If you're lucky, more want to do the former than the latter. I liked this one too. It said, put your desk in the corner of the room. It's not in the middle because life is not a support system for art. It is the other way around. His whole like rant on adverbs also was pretty funny. I really, really loved that chapter. And it honestly, I think it was one of the chapters that I got most worth from because as I'm writing, I definitely use adverbs and definitely have in many ways that he mentioned like why it's not good or why you should rethink using them so often. So, you know, I definitely got some good advice from this book. The last favorite quote was, come to the blank page any way but lightly. He just talks about how you have to want it so bad. You have to want to come in and put in work, sit at the computer, sit at the typewriter, whatever it is that you do. You have to show up. You have to show up every day. You have to have some sort of sense of urgency or passion towards whatever project you're working on. And I just thought that it was like a really intense but thoughtful bit of advice. Come to the page any way but lightly. Because I believe he was saying like, if you come lightly to the page, then you'll kind of be like tiptoeing around what you're trying to say. Like you have to say it with your full chest all the time, every time, consistently. And eventually what you create will have heart. And I just loved it.
I think that there were a lot of really good things about it. I'm happy I read it, actually. And I'm happy I listened to it on audio. If that wasn't clear, I don't even know if I said that out loud. I listened to it on audio. Stephen King narrates it, so that was fun. Does this mean that I will pick up another Stephen King book? I don't know. Caleb right now is picking up my wedding ring band because if you have noticed, I don't know if you have noticed, but I'm missing my third band because one of the diamonds fell out. And really quick story time, fell out on our couch actually. I was sitting here and I started to hear Sammy, like you know the sound when an animal is about to throw up, right? Well, Sammy was on the couch and I rushed over because we have this like little dog bed thing that Sammy's actually laying on right there. And it's like just a little thing that can sit on top of a couch that, you know, protects your couch a little bit from like pet dirt and stuff. But Sammy started making that sound, so I rushed over and moved that bed on like in front of Sammy so that he would throw up on that because it's washable and I didn't want to ruin the couch. And in that like movement, I think it got caught on something and it must have fallen out during that particular movement. Sammy threw up on the thing, but he also like jumped off the back of the couch and continued to throw up elsewhere. So that was a really great thing. But the point of the matter, this is ridiculous. My patrons already know the story because I was like crashing out about it. I came back to the couch, looked at the cushion, and there was like, it was a diamond, but from like where I was standing, it literally looked like a piece of glass. And I was like, why the fuck is there glass on the couch? I was like, how did this happen? I picked it up and my immediate intrusive thought was to literally flick it across the room. Could you imagine? Like, because I'm unhinged and I was like picked up the piece that I thought was just like garbage or glass. And I was going to be like, okay, I'll just flick it onto the carpet and I'll vacuum it up later. I don't know, like that is absolutely something I would do. Like, I'm sorry to say, that is definitely something I would do. And I know that's chaotic and not good, but I picked it up. I don't know why, like I literally like curled my finger ready to flick it. And then I didn't for whatever reason. And I like rolled it a little bit. I looked at it, I looked at my ring and I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's my diamond. So I had to go to the jeweler and get it reset today. And Caleb is picking it up from said jeweler right now. Here he is. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'll come back once I finish this,
great.
okay? Okay, I'll be back.
Your loneliness kills me, but your loving it thrills me. Won't you speak those words? I'll be there. Whatever tomorrow.
Hello, friends. I decided to go for a run today, so now I'm freshly showered and I'm letting my hair air dry. This is just what is happening. Sorry, I look this way. But I finally finished Kafka on the Shore on my run. Full disclosure, I'm so happy this vlog is over. Listen, okay, I don't mean to make it sound that way, but this is how I feel. I'm so excited to just read some like silly, goofy fantasy books next. Like that's all I want to do. All right, let me back up and tell you my like final thoughts on Kafka on the Shore, okay? I already sort of told you some of the negative things that I wasn't enjoying, and like piggybacking off of my last update, we already talked about his portrayal of female characters, which is like a known critique. And in this book, there is actually a trans character, which I think for the time that this was written was probably like a pretty progressive thing to include. But that doesn't mean that it was handled in like the most consistent and best way. I do think that there were some things about this character specifically. I'm not saying it out loud because it is something that you find out as you're reading. There were some things about this character that like their portrayal, particularly from Kafka's point of view, was not like consistent the entire book. And I don't think that that really sat right with me, even though there were multiple discussions and conversations between Kafka and this character. I don't know, there was still something a little bit off, but also I'm not trans and I am also not Japanese, so there might be some things that I am not like privy to within my psyche and just like my knowledge of things. So I will be seeking out some like own voices reviews of this book just to like solidify how I'm feeling about it, because right now I'm just feeling a little bit like unsure, I guess, about that. Also, like the biggest thing, which I'm not gonna get into entirely because it's a huge part of the book that I hate it, but it's also like would be considered spoilers. So non-spoiler version of this thing is there's some really
freaking weird familial dynamics going on. And before you like get annoyed or upset with me, I know that the way that these things are talked about, particularly with Kafka's family or potential family or whatever you want to consider it, that are like happening, I understand that they relate on a grander scheme or a grander plane of like philosophical and probably like psychological relation. And like I don't, again, this is another thing, like maybe I hate to like talk bad about myself, but maybe I am like a little less educated than I should be to read this, because I like I don't know, it's like I understand and enjoy bringing philosophy and psychology into books. Like that as a concept is very cool. I like that. But that doesn't mean I liked it, because I didn't. I actually actively hated a lot of Kafka's point of view, particularly involving some of the characters that may or may not be family. I don't know. Like I don't know how to talk about it without spoiling things. So that's all I can say. Just know that there were a lot of things that I was very uncomfortable with and I hated a lot. I want to end the review on a couple positive things, because I don't think that it's a bad book. And just because I personally didn't like those things, I can still appreciate like Murakami's writing and how he structured the story. I think that the point of view switches were really great. They really kept you wanting to turn the page, wanting to get to the next chapter, especially when the point of view started like overlapping in some ways. And like the dreamy and surreal parts of the story were so cool. They were very cool. But at the end of the day, I am so glad that I finished it and I don't have to read it anymore. I think that I will think like fondly-ish of this book. I don't think it's one that I recommend, particularly because of the things I did not like. I wouldn't feel comfortable like overtly recommending this book to anyone, but I do appreciate the things that I did like. They were done well. I liked it sometimes. So honestly, I don't think that this vlog was super successful. Like, am I even a blue reader? Did I lie on my quiz without even knowing it? I don't know. I was talking to my patrons about this because after I like discussed with them that I was doing this video, like everyone in my Patreon like took the quiz and we were sharing our results, and everyone was saying like, why aren't you an orange reader? Like that's so strange. And I agree wholeheartedly, because orange is like the high fantasy. I'm surprised also that I wasn't an orange reader. However, like I still stand by the fact that like, even if I love high fantasy, if I'm reading a high fantasy book, I am still like looking at the characters and the plot through like a blue reader's lens. Like in my core, I still do love like the main character's experience and like why they're doing what they're doing, who they are, those types of things. So I don't think that it was wrong to get blue as a result, but I am surprised that I didn't love any of these books as much as I was expecting to. But at the end of the day, I still did knock off quite a few books that I have been interested in and for such a long time. So even though I didn't find like a new favorite book, which I kind of was expecting, to be honest, even though that didn't happen, I'm happy that I did this experiment and now I know how I feel about those books particularly. I don't know earlier if I said that I was reading 5 books for this video. I probably did. I'm done. I'm not reading the 5th book that I was originally planning to for this video. I just need to be done. I need to read what I want to read, and I don't want to read these books right now. I want to change everything that I'm doing. So I'm gonna go read like a witchy fantasy book and live my best life. Let me know down below what color reader you are if you've taken the quiz and if you were surprised or not. I would love to know. But if you don't know what else to say, then leave me the blue heart down below in the comments. And while you're down there, please do subscribe and like the video. I always appreciate your support. And of course, be kind to one another and happy reading. I'll see you soon. Bye.